Welcome to Calling the Shots exclusively right here on the OH Report. I'm Brian Skowronski. This is Chris Hershberger, and man, what a treat we have for you guys today. We have Arlene Limas joining us from Washington, D.C., 1988 gold medalist in taekwondo, the first American to win a gold medal in the sport. So first off, thanks so much for joining us, and how are you spending your quarantine right now?
Going a little batty, but still able to get some good workouts in, still able to access connection to my students and train them. So we're doing great, considering.
That's awesome. And first off, I want to say how honored I am to just have this interview. You know, I've been an amazing fan of yours, and I've looked up to you for so many years, and you've been a great mentor to me as a coach and as a person in general. So I just appreciate your being here today, and I'm just glad because every time I see you, ma'am, you make me smile. So I thank you for that. You're an amazing person, and appreciate you very much.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here, and it's just great to see people, right? It's great to see you, Chris. See that you're healthy and you're doing well.
Thank you.
And our hair is all very healthy right now, as we were just talking about. You don't know how much you appreciate your hairdresser until you can't see him anymore.
That's right.
Exactly.
I have a bona fide helmet on my head, and it's I can play football without a real helmet at this point. It's bad. So the first question I want to ask is, how are you personally, perceiving this whole postponement with the Olympic Games? I know as a person, and you were very young. How old were you when you were in the games?
I was actually 23, so not that young. So not that young.
You started in various martial arts, and you did a lot prior to that. So as a 20-something Olympian, what was your mindset going into it just before?
I mean, I was fairly new to that style. As you know, that style of competition, it was kind of new for me, although I had competed for many, many, many years prior to the Olympic Games. That was kind of my first year and a half of introduction to that form of competition. So for me, it was all like brand new, it was my first major team that I made. So my expectations were kind of wide open. I didn't feel any pressure on myself. It was just, everything just seemed to just fall perfectly into place for me when it came to late 87 and all through 88.
Do you think that helped you a little bit, maybe being naive to the fact that the Olympics obviously is this big, huge thing? It's your first time making the U.S. team, like you said, and then you get put on the big stage. You think it helped that it was your first time?
It definitely did. It definitely did. And that's one of the drawbacks I feel about current time. And I know that there are a lot of people who really thrive on watching tape from their opponents and, watching trends and different tells that our athletes give. But to me, it's sometimes so much information that we have a fixed fight game going in, and we need to be more fluid. If we knew less, we'd prepare differently. So sorry about that phone ringing.
Yeah, it's okay. That just means you're busy, and that's good. Businesses need to be busy right now. So let's take a moment to kind of go back in time, if you will, and do a little hypothetical. Let's assume that in 87, going into 88, the year of the Olympics, it was postponed. And knowing what you know now, how do you think you might have reacted? And in turn, what kind of advice would you give to a future Olympian going into 21 since it was postponed?
For me, I think I just gained speed. So I just hit the ground and kept running from 87 through 91. So for me, I don't think it would have been it wouldn't have been a hiccup for me. But I know that there were players, team captains on our team that it would have made a huge difference. Some people had pushed their body to a point so that they could make that team and be a member of that first Olympic team. They were well into their 30s. Their bodies were breaking down. I don't know that they could have had another year. Deborah Holloway, who won a silver medal, I don't know that she makes it another year. Mother of 4, I don't know that she can put her life on hold one more year. Maybe even Jay Warwick cannot because of age. So I see, as I see it today, I just can't imagine the anxiety some of our athletes are going through around the world because of this, because it's tough to remain excellent and the best in your country for one event, not yet hold that success through another year. And then how do you handle that? If you've already picked your team, how do you keep them for another year? Or do you have another team selection? It's going to be a little nutty, I think. And someone is going to feel jilted.
Yeah, to piggyback off of that, obviously making it to the Olympic Games, you're trying to be in the best possible shape. I mean, you're tapering to be in your peak form right for that one event. What was it like for you, and would you say that was the best shape that you had ever gotten in, getting to compete in that first Olympics?
Well, at that time, that was the best shape I had ever gotten in. That's for sure. But as the generation that I came up under martial arts, we were kind of scientific approach to training. So we've gotten a lot smarter in a very short period of time on how we train and how we go from a martial artist to an athlete who's a martial artist as well. So at that time in the 80s, yes, that was the best shape I had ever been in. But I found continued training into the late 80s and 90s, and now as a coach, I have found myself, believe it or not, in better shape at times than I was in 88, just because I'm training smarter and more scientific approach.
So I know you're an amazing coach and well-accomplished coach as well as athlete. What advice are you giving your athletes right now? Like how to handle this quarantine thing, how to stay motivated? That's probably, in my opinion, one of the biggest obstacles is how do you stay motivated without that tangible competition in front of you?
I think the perk and the kind of carrot I guess I have is my athletes right now are so cabin fevered out. They're really stressed out. Let me do something. Let me move a little. Let me kick a little. So I'm taking advantage of that. I'm not trying to overdo it with, we're training every day, or we're trying to meet each other some way virtually or something every day. No. A couple times a week, staying strong and excited. And they're, kind of biting at the chops to get a workout in. I bet. Yeah, and how it is when you're training 1 or 2 times a day. Some of our athletes are training 2 times a day. Those endorphins are naturally pumping. So if you cut yourself off from that training, you go through a withdrawal. So you need that training. So they're needing us. They're needing us right now.
In what ways are you still training your athletes virtually? Chris has a really cool setup down here where he's able to interact. He can actually see them move. They can see Chris and they can communicate back and forth. What do you have set up at your current location?
We're utilizing Zoom technology as well to interact with our athletes and our students. In addition to that, in Virginia, we're still allowed to meet in groups of less than 10. So kind of my higher level athletes are, I'm very fortunate. I have a very good sized school. So we're fortunate enough to put a bag in this corner, 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 where they're never interacting. They're bringing all their own equipment. We're only doing on bag training and drills and body weight exercises. So they never interact with another teammate, but they're all training together. So we have been able to do that a couple times a week consistently.
So this is a great time for obvious reasons for those athletes that need the recovery, if they're nursing injuries, or, maybe even the mental, pressure, because we went from last year, one of the most heavily traveled years ever in this sport, chasing points, to now having one major competition thus far.
If we have it. Yeah. If we have the second one too.
Yeah. What kind of toll do you think that's taken on your athletes, and how are they adjusting to the 180 shift?
I think right now they're still enjoying the extra time. My kids are very personally driven already, so they're completely okay hitting their homework on their own and getting online, and they're enjoying all those perks because they're pretty self-motivated. I think as it gets a little longer in time, I can foresee that their attitude might change. They might get a little down, especially if there's an announcement that nationals are canceled. Right now, they've all purchased their tickets to nationals. They've all, they're still focused that's parents have purchased their tickets. So I hope that that happens. But, you know, my gut tells me we're probably not going to have nationals. So, but right now, that's what they're holding on to. They're hopeful that they're somehow sneaking these bonus workouts in over their competition, and they're going to be ready. And right.
That might be what this breeds is. The people that are still able to stay motivated on their own will be the cream that rises to the crop that don't need the big group activity. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But I want to switch the conversation, and I want to talk about you a little bit. As a gold medalist, when you return home, how much did life change for you as being the #1 top dog in your entire sport?
Well, well, first of all, not much, not much, because first of, you had to watch it like 3 in the morning if you wanted to see taekwondo. Within the martial arts community, it was just incredible. You know, everybody. I'm kind of my martial arts life has been very strange. I've had the wonderful opportunity to interact with all different types of different style martial artists. So coming back, taking a chance on fighting Olympic style taekwondo and being successful as I was, it just meant so much to so many different organizations and groups. They all felt like, man, a little bit of our organization did it because Arlene did it. And that felt really, really good. I grew up in inner city Chicago in a pretty rough neighborhood, so it was nice to be able to go back there and kind of present myself. I'm half Mexican and half Polish, and, you know, just tell the community that I came from that, hey, you know, we can do things, we can achieve, you know, really big and great things. So it was awesome. It was awesome coming back. But as far as like this worldwide, you know, Michael Jordan phenomenon, no, that wasn't happening for a taekwondo athlete.
So people weren't calling you with endorsement offers like as soon as you got off the jet?
No.
Shocking.
Yeah, right. Well, they should have been. I can tell you, because Arlene has been a major inspiration in our sport. You can't talk to anyone in the martial arts without having a story of how she's inspired them. And I've seen it firsthand, and that's one of the reasons why I respect her so much. So let me go back to the Olympics, because I like where Brian was going, you know, with you and what you're thinking, and not so much the other stuff. When you go back and think about the Olympic Games and getting your gold medal, what was the most powerful moment to you? I mean, I know that when you're in the match, that's powerful, and you know you've won, it kind of sinks in, but is there another moment during that entire Olympic process that really stands out?
Well, there were 2 things. Actually, I'll share 3 things that really kind of stay on my mind, and I think about them and I smile. One is when I was about to go out to the gold medal match, there were some Korean volunteers that escorted us, and, you know, young people that, you know, they were probably honored to have that spot to walk us out to the competition. And he tried to talk to me, and I just gave him a #1 sign. Well, in Korean, they don't count 1, 2, they count 1, 2. So he came back and he was like, 1. And I was like, yeah, #1. 1. And then my coach at the time, Coach Sang Lee, explained that how they count. So then I was like, oh, definitely, you know, 1. I'm planning on being #1, not #2. So that one was a fun kind of thing that I remember fondly. And, you know, of course, you know, I don't know if anyone else knows, but the music after I won, in my opinion, they were anticipating that I was fighting Korea in the finals, that Korea was going to win. So when I won, they didn't have the national anthem prepared. They didn't have it queued up. And the arena was filled with many military, U.S. Army military personnel. And we just sang the national anthem ourselves while the flags were rising. So, you know, that, I mean, no one has that. I have that, you know, that's for me. That's bigger than any competition I've ever won. That moment right there was just incredible, to be able to hear the crowd just start joining in and singing in, and hearing our anthem like that was pretty incredible. So, yeah.
What can you tell me about your mindset and your drive as an athlete when you get to the pinnacle of your sport and you're #1, then coming off of that, you were just 23 years old. was it hard for you to maintain that hunger, or was that even more of a motivating drive for you? Because I've heard the teeter-tottering where it can go both ways for people.
Well, for me, I had had success in other forms of competition, other forms of martial arts competition. So when I won the Olympic Games, from within the Olympic Taekwondo movement, there was one, Arlene won't stay. She won't stay in this movement. She won her gold medal. She'll go back to fight other styles. And I wanted to prove them wrong. I felt very grateful for the opportunity that Olympic Taekwondo had given me. So that was one. And then there was also the chatter of, well, Arlene won the Olympics, but that's kind of a closed competition. Only certain countries were invited. Could she win Worlds? Could she win World Cup? So I wanted to prove that I could win all those events too. So I stuck around and won those events. And World Championships really is the most demanding, in my opinion, the most demanding event in our sport.
Yeah, and you proved to everyone, and I think it didn't really matter to everyone as much as it meant to you, because I know you as a person. And that's the most important thing. You're very introspective. And I think it was probably a personal challenge. It's like, this isn't expected of me, so I'm going to do this for me. Right. And I can see you doing that for that reason. So that's one of the main reasons why I think you get so much respect from people. You're one of the most genuine people I've ever met in the martial arts. It's been just a blessing to know you. And I just want to tell you, and from my heart, Arlene, I appreciate your time, because I know how valuable your time is and how you spend your time. And I want to tell you, I appreciate you and love you very much.
Oh, thank you, sir. I love you and your daughter and your family. You guys are a great group. So, and again, it's really nice seeing you looking strong and healthy.
Thank you.
And if I am allowed to squeeze in just one more question, because I've been watching his daughter train for a good probably 6 years now. How early did you get involved, and at what point did you really start taking it seriously? Because Natalie, from what I've seen, from the time she was like 9 years old, she's been treating this like she's training for the Olympics.
Yeah, I mean, they say it takes 10,000 high-level training hours to become an Olympian. So if you're not focused at the age that Natalie's been focused, you're probably not going to get there. So, I mean, Natalie's focus is incredible. It's right on time. It's, she's reaching all the benchmarks she's supposed to be reaching. And she seems to, I never see a time where I go, wow, Nat needs a break. I don't ever see that. And I see that in a lot of young athletes. So whatever's happening there, whatever, Chris is able to put together for her as a training regimen, she seems to be okay. She seems to be strong and comfortable mentally, not breaking down. So I think she's right on track.
All right. Hey, thanks so much again. Pleasure to meet you. And where do you keep that gold medal displayed at? Where's it at right now?
Well, right now it's not displayed anywhere. It stays in a drawer because I want to have access to it if I go to speak at schools and things like that. So it took me a long time to even have it in my own possession, because my mom wouldn't let it go. When I moved to when I moved to the East Coast, she wouldn't let me take it with me, but I actually eventually got it with me. So yeah, that's how I keep it. I want to have access to it. It's not, somewhere where it can't be touched. I want to be able to share it with people. So
that's going to be Chris when Natalie gets her gold medal. It's going to be on display in his trophy case at home.
Exactly. I mean, well, my mom didn't want to display it. She just, I don't know, she just didn't want to let it go. That she was very concerned about me taking it. I don't know.
She would just wear it around the house, like vacuuming, cooking, whatever.
Maybe that's what it was.
All right, Arlene Limas, 1988 gold medalist. Thank you so much for joining us right here on Calling the Shots.
Thank you.
No problem. It was a great time. Thank you, guys. Be safe.
Yep. Thank you.